And hello, good evening. Welcome to the Absolutely Premier League show. We are back, and so is the Premier League. The 2026-27 season is getting underway on Friday night, but before our ball is kicked, we've got a preview and we've got some predictions. So very, very exciting tonight. 9 new managers in the Premier League with some familiar faces on the panel to go through it all, as we'll be going through our previews of all the 20 Premier League clubs before revealing our complete 1 to 20 Premier League predictions. So remember, if you don't like what we put, it's just for fun. It's just a little giggle. And to be honest, we're usually wrong. So it's probably good if we put you somewhere because you can guarantee that won't be where you end up. But let's meet the panel. Let's meet the team for tonight. Of course, returning to the Premier League show, ready. She does it all. It's non-league, it's World Cup, it's EFL. It's just a lot. Shah is here. Are you ready for the new season, Shah?
I am so ready for the new season. I cannot wait. Really, really excited. It's nice being a neutral as well. I found it with a non-league one, obviously last night. It's really nice to just take it all in, sit back and let it all happen in front of me. But how are you, Sam? Are you excited?
Very excited. I am. It's been nice seeing the non-league start, the EFL start, but I'm ready. I'm ready for some Premier League action this week. So I am excited. A man who's always excited for the Premier League. He loves a bit of Premier League just because he gets to spend most of his weeks with me. Grimmy, How are you doing? And how much are you looking forward to the Premier League?
I mean, you've summarised it pretty well, Sam. I now get to spend most of my Tuesdays for the next however many weeks with you. So why on earth would I complain? But yeah, no, I am good. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, we had a bit of a warm up with the watch long last week, getting ready for the new season. So yeah, looking forward to this one, and hopefully I don't have any total clangers on the predictions like I did last year, but we'll see.
This is true. It's all right. It's in the past, Grimmy, so we'll leave that where it is for last season, because there'll be plenty, I'm sure, tonight. And a man who's very excited for the Premier League, almost as much as he's excited for that Europa League draw. It's the wonderful and with us, ready for the new season. How are we doing, bud?
Yeah, all good. Even better after seeing that brilliant new intro. Whoever did that, well done. I'm all, yeah.
Our wonderful Dan, we can give credit to.
Yeah, absolute legend. But yeah, kind of looking forward. I think I am a little bit kind of conflicted whether I'm looking forward to Saturday or next Thursday more. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, looking forward to it. I feel refreshed, I think, after the World Cup. I'm less angry at Thomas Tuchel now. I'm fairly sure that could resurface at any point. So,
halfway through talking about Ipswich, and goes into meltdown.
Do you know what? That Argentina game.
Yeah. Apart from that, I'm all good. Thanks for having us for yet another season. Looking forward to it, mate.
Of course, we're looking forward to it. It's all right. The international break isn't until September, so we've got a few weeks at least before we have to deal with that nonsense. But somebody else is also looking forward to a European journey and their all-important draws. Oh, Heather, how are you? And how's your summer been?
Summer's been good, hectic as usual, because I run and clean some Airbnbs that are directly on the beach, so it's been a bit mental. But I did manage to get away before that and watch the World Cup, obviously, from far when I was in Switzerland, so all good.
Lovely indeed. And now we're all back together, ready for some Premier League, as are some wonderful people in the chat. We've got a wonderful Graham as with us. Good evening to you, Graham. Good evening to Mr. Arbaf Sar as well. How are you? All very well. Hope you're looking forward to the show tonight. We've got Spenny fan Chris all the way from the US of A, of course. You know, he's over there already, but he is joining us tonight, so fair play. And Chalks as well. Evening, Chris. He's at the game. I presume that's dedication. He's at the game, dropping into fair play, and even as well to Sean. He says, Pizza Cup. The Pizza Cup is on tonight. But why look at the Pizza Cup when you can talk about the Absolute Premier League? Right, so I'm not sure if this is going to work, so bear with me if half the people disappear. But we will get ready and we'll get into it, and we are going to start with talking about the 3 promoted teams, the 3 new teams that we've got to enjoy this season, and where we think and how we think they're going to get on. So bear with me. Come on, there we are. We've got some of our people. We've got all of our people. Look at that. Everybody has returned. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a general chit chat about, we split it into kind of 4 sections. We've got the promoted teams, we've got the teams that finished in kind of the bottom half of the table, the mid-table teams, and then the top 6. And then we'll go into our predictions at the end. So we'll just have a general chit chat and you'll find out where we've all put them later on. But we have here, of course, Coventry, Ipswich and Hull are joining us in the Premier League. Shah, I'll let you have first dibs.
This is a setup.
Hull, yeah? You want to talk about Hull?
Who would you like me to talk about then, Sam?
as they came up as top of the Championship, Coventry are back in the Premier League.
Yes.
They're very excited about being back in the Premier League. Frank Lampard's back in the Premier League. How are you thinking about Coventry heading ahead into the new season?
To be fair, I'm really, really happy that Coventry did get promoted, if I'm being quite honest. I feel like last season they were absolutely excellent in the Championship under Frank Lampard. I know it was one of them subjects and topics with Frank Lampard as well, where a lot of us were really, really shocked. But obviously Mark Robbins did get the sack at Coventry and we're a bit unsure what Frank Lampard would do. And I feel like their time in the Championship last season, they were absolutely excellent. And I'm so happy and so fully deserved that they've been promoted. But I'm not really sure what I think, not just about Coventry, to be honest, about all 3 of the newly promoted teams, because I feel like Frank Lampard, he has a certain way that he likes to play football, and it's whether he can obviously adapt to the Premier League. I know we've seen managers who have been promoted before from the Championship. Vincent Kompany, for example, he was very stubborn at Burnley. He didn't like to change his way. So that's one thing I'm not too sure whether Frank Lampard will do that, if he won't do that. I'm not too sure recruitment-wise what they've done. I know there was a few Coventry fans saying that they do want some more bodies in at the moment, and I feel like they need more Premier League quality, if I'm being quite honest, Coventry. Gustavo Hamer has obviously returned, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who I think he's a really good player. I think he can create moments of magic. I think he just needs that little bit of consistency in the Premier League, if I'm being quite honest. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Coventry and Frank Lampard can do. I'm just not too sure whether they will have enough at the moment to sustain staying up in the Premier League. But I'd like to be proven wrong.
There you go, like to be proven wrong. As you said, they've come up and said Gustavo Hamer's there. They've got Rushworth's come in as well on a full deal as well. So they've made some additions, and it's mostly he's trusting a lot of the squad obviously that's come up from last season. We've got Glenn's here. He's obviously backing the Sky Blues, but Mr. Babsar is not. He is not backing the Sky Blues. Of course, we have people on both sides. Simon's here, of course, so they're ready for his Coventry. Coventry may stay up. I do look at that. It's true. Glenn's kind of trying to come in early. With stuff. It's all right. It's okay. We can live with that early doors. And he thinks Lampard is a better manager at PL level than people give him credit for. Simon feels they need a left back. But there we go. Ange, we come to you as well on Coventry. How are you feeling about Coventry's chances? And that obviously, as our experienced man in how to come up from the Championship, how do you think Coventry is there?
I think they've made some good signings. I do, but I also think they may have spent a little bit too much money on some of them. You know what I mean? Like, I think as much as Rushworth's a good goalkeeper, and I think he is a very good goalkeeper for the Championship and stuff like that, £25 million on a 25-year-old who couldn't get a game for Brighton, I think's crazy. Honestly, I do. I think it's crazy money. I think he's a great goalkeeper before everyone goes at us. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but if he can't get in a Brighton side over Jason Steele and Verbruggen, who I don't think Verbruggen will be Dutch goalkeeper, like Dutch number one by the end of the season. I really don't. I think they've got so many good young goalkeepers coming up the Dutch that he just won't do. He won't be the top there. the top goalkeeper in that. So I stick with that. And he's going to be facing a lot more shots. He's going to be facing a lot more, there'll be a lot more scrutiny on him this season. I would have been a little bit more kind of positive for them if they'd improved the defence a little bit, which I don't think they have. I can't say, I agree with Shah. I just can't see him adapting enough for the Premier League. But listen, they've got, like, I looked at the first 6 games, and I tell you what, and this is like just from what we did last year. You win your home games, and you go on about whatever you want on Friday night. Friday night won't be the Coventry's be all and end all the season away at Arsenal. To be honest, it doesn't matter. There you go, Glenn. You were we already. I said he wasn't a bad goalkeeper. I just said he's not worth 25 million.
Defensive Coventry fans alrery in the chat.
I'm like, I've not even said he's a bad goalkeeper. I said he's not worth 25 million. So go back in your hole, mate. So like, win your home games, and I reckon, the 3 that they've got whole second game of the season, must win game. Must win. I think it's Brighton and then it's us. And I think the playoffs just after Europa League. So, like, he might be better than Pat. Pat doesn't play for us anymore. Jesus Christ. Triggered. Anyway, so I think out the 3, probably the most likely of the 3 to stay up. But, and I'm saying this as a big but, I think the rest of the league has improved. And I think the Premier League's improved a lot from 2 or 3 years ago, where the 2 teams that did stay up last year was us and Leeds. We signed Granit Xhaka. Leeds signed Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which was a great signing. And that's what kept them up. And I don't think Coventry have done that yet. There's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time to do it. And like I say, they've got, out of the 3, I do think they've got the best opportunity to stay up. But it's a massive ask. It's a massive ask for all 3 teams. It's a massive ask. And that's why I think when people are saying why it's such a lazy prediction or an easy prediction to make, it is because this league is brutal if you don't start well. It really is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I think Coventry, for me, they've got the best chance out of the 3. As you said, it just depends who gets drawn into that. Who could they pick off in that area? But I'm interested to see how they play, because obviously they played with such a entertaining attacking style last season. It was fantastic to watch in the Championship. How does that evolve? And obviously that's probably not the way they're going to play on Friday night against Arsenal, because that would be probably a bit of suicide. But it'll be interesting to see if they can be interested. I think, Glenn, I'm all for people going back and forth, but you can't just tell people they've got nonsense takes. This is part of.
No, he can say what. Sammy can say what he wants, but honestly, he can.
Receipts.
And we'll see at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and he's right. They're the same people were writing us off last year.
But I think this is what I'm seeing. A lot of people aren't writing Coventry off. Like we are. We're saying they've got there's a chance and stuff. But we are saying that it's an uphill battle. It's always an uphill battle. But not saying it's not an insurmountable uphill battle. It's looking at it now. That's the way it looks, isn't it? And
what we did last year, again, not to like go on about us all the time because I don't want to. But what we did last year was completely change our team. We signed 14 players or something or other, but we signed good quality footballers who immediately came in, immediately gelled. And then they were all but all of these players, like a Nori Mukiele, would walk into Coventry's team now, walk into it, and like Talby on the left-hand side of midfield, really good young player. Enzo Lefebvre would walk into Coventry's team. So you can't compare the 2 sides because we spent a lot of money. And Doug King, to be fair to Doug King, he spent an absolute boatload of money, and fair play to him for doing it, because that's what you need to do. You need to spend. But I just don't know whether. And you know what? Like I said before, it could be a very lazy prediction from me because, spoiler alert, I have got them in my bottom 3. But out the 3, they've got the best chance. And you know what? Like I say, in 9 months' time, if I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be proved wrong, because I think the Premier League needs sides like Coventry, and to be honest, Ipswich as well, because I really like Ipswich as a football club.
This is it. New teams to watch, and I think we're all excited to watch and to see. I mean, this is half the battle. This is what we wanted to see in the Premier League. Someone else having a go, and it's been a long time for Coventry, so they've earned their spot. But Grimmy, should we move on to another team?
Yeah,
got it.
Sure.
Or we won't get to the other 19. Would you like to pick a Hull or an Ipswich? I'll leave it up to you.
I'll go for Ipswich, I think, because I quite like the transfer business they've done. They've brought in a mixture of kind of youth and a couple of more experienced campaigners, which I quite like. They've got in Cisco, who we know from his Brighton days, and obviously he's come over from Strasbourg. Fatawu, who I've always been a big fan of, from Leicester as well. Did pay a bit more than I thought they would have to for him, but they've got him in. And of course, Dan letting us all know how happy he was about Florentino going from Burnley to Ipswich. And then they've got a couple of Fulham players in Lukic and Diop. So I think they've found kind of a nice mix of kind of that experience and that kind of exuberance of youth that are probably going to be willing to give it a go. And of course, I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, especially Bournemouth fans, but Gary O'Neill is the manager in the dugout, so someone with Premier League experience. So again, I think it's a nice mix. I think Ipswich have maybe done something totally different to what they did when they last got promoted, which I think is invest quite heavily. Obviously, they had Kieran McKenna in previously, and he obviously left after the second season of getting them back up. And you know, everything that they've done so far has impressed me. So I actually think that Ipswich are probably in with a shout of staying up. I think there's a lot that needs to happen. I think they need to obviously start well, much like obviously Sunderland did. And all Leeds didn't really start off the best, but they kind of kicked into gear in that second half. But yeah, I think for Ipswich to stay up, they'll need to kick on strong at the start and then see where it goes from there. But yeah, I think the signings they've made so far have impressed me. And yeah, they've spent a lot of money, but I think even if it's a case of they do go back down, I think a lot of that squad will stay around and probably help them come straight back up. So yeah, I do like what Ipswich have done so far.
And they've been kind of building for this, haven't they? So they came down and were angling, and many people's favourites last season to go up. But obviously, the sort of Kieran McKenna going's been a kind of real sort of shocker. He was linked, but obviously, I don't think people expected kind of him to go the way that he has. I'm sure I'll let her say on Gary O'Neill in a minute, but I mean, you know, 12 signings. They've got some redevelopment going on the training ground as well. The ownership's back in them, and they seem like I said trying to, but it's another case of. It's a number of signings. It's 12 and a new manager. It's an awful lot to kind of put together.
To do, yeah.
So that's an interesting one. But Heather, yes, of course.
Dyson Maeda, I know. Don't forget him, the experience.
Never forget a Japanese striker. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But Heather, they have a certain manager you're very aware of in terms of Gary O'Neill sort of coming. Have you sort of had eyes on Ipswich, and is this maybe the one that works for Gary O'Neill?
I don't think so. He has learned. He did better at Wolves than he did with us. But it's not nice football to watch, and I do think he needs to drop down a level to the Championship and have a go there before he, you know, like a proper full season before he comes back up to the Prem, because he basically was like the second in command, and he just, when we sacked Scott Parker, he just took over because as a caretaker manager, and then he was doing okay. So the club said, okay, you've got the rest of the year. And then obviously we got Andoni in after that. And everybody said, oh, you're a disgrace, like sacking him. But I don't think that was true. I just don't think he's Premier League quality yet. He might get there.
He's got another chance certainly with Ipswich. So interesting how they're going to get on. And we'll move to the last thing before we sort of move on up the table in terms of last year's Premier League sides. We'll discuss in a minute. But of course, Hull kind of de facto became everybody's neutral favourites in that chaos playoffs at the end of last season in the Championship, and say sixth place in the Championship, sort of probably going into playoffs, moving them down, but they got the job done. They were those playoffs to beat another team that say captain some kind of fun. I think it's want to come in on whole.
So sorry, my internet messed up then. Did you ask me?
Open forum, anybody on hold?
Yeah, with Hull, I'm so sorry, my internet connection just went a bit dodgy then. But I feel like with Hull, and I don't want to sound really, really negative, because I feel like, to be fair, like it's absolutely fantastic, the achievement of last season. But I think there's a little bit of a difference of assembling a squad that can be a very good Championship squad and then assembling it for a Premier League season. And I know we were talking off air, weren't we, Ant, just then, about Hull and the signings. And I feel like with Hull, they have made a lot of signings, but I don't think they're necessarily Premier League quality. And similar to what we were saying that little bit about Coventry, where I don't think they've got that Granit Xhaka like Sunderland and that key player that brings the experience there with Hull. And I just feel like, as much as I would love that, and I think it'd be an absolute magical fairy tale for them to be able to stay up, I just don't think they necessarily have that quality. And with Hull, they like to play that possession-based kind of football. And the defence last season wasn't all that fantastic either. And I don't know if they will be allowed to play that kind of football in the Premier League. I think, again, we need to talk about adaptations and whether the manager can obviously try and adapt and try and tighten up that defence, because, yeah, I think that was one of the things that did let Hull down a little bit last season.
Yeah. It's a lot of, as we said, I think, say, Championship style kind of signings as well. Like, again, like Ollie McBurney scored a lot of goals for them in the Championship. You're asking a lot, I think, for sort of then come up and do what's needed in terms of Premier League goals as well. As there's a lot for Hull to do, but again, you know, they've got to try and get a good start. And we always say they need a good start. You need 3 points on the board as early as you can. But I mean, even look at Burnley last season. I think they had kind of an okay start. They had a sort of couple of results, and it really did kind of dip from there. But right, we'll crack on. We've got a number of teams, and this isn't our predictions. This is just going from last year's table to have a sections of teams to go against. We've got almost like if this was like a wheel, it could be like a wheel of fortune, and we could have picked which one to talk about. But Heather, should we come to you? Is there any particularly on the list, you know, that we've got here? So we've got Everton, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Forest, and Spurs. You're going to talk about a particular club you'd like to talk about in their upcoming season? I think you're on mute, Heather.
Maybe Forest. They were struggling at the end of last season, so I think in my predictions I've probably got them down for 18th. They haven't seemed to have really done a lot of business in this transfer window, and I don't know if it was just the fact that they were in Europe last year the reason why they struggled, but I could see them like being down at the bottom, if not in the relegation spaces.
So I think manager again, haven't I?
Yeah, this is the Glasner, fifth manager in 12 months, which is, say, Marinakis style. You think Ant Glasner's the one that they're going to stick a little bit behind because, you know, his tactical style is going to need a bit of kind of back in. They've also got a lot of money with Elliot Anderson going as well.
I think the thing is, and we'll probably get into like a little bit of like signings and stuff like that. Not many teams have been that active, have there? Like apart from that, the three that have come up. Not many are like flying around yet. I think like Newcastle have made some quite early as well, haven't they? They made some like good, like young signings quite early, but it's still a lot. Like the season starts on Saturday in the Champions League. The transfer window isn't shut until, is it the 4th of September this year? It's like a little bit later, isn't it, because of the World Cup? So I still think some of them will make, you know, signings as well. But I think with Forest, what I struggle with Glasner at the Forest is like he left Palace. He did a really, really good job at Palace. Really, really good job. Got them where he did and stuff like that. And then I don't think that's like an upwards curve to go forward. It's more of like a sideways step, isn't it? It's like more of the same under a really erratic owner who, is known to fire the cannon quite early into someone's tenure. So he's got to start well, to be fair for us. And I think we mentioned the Elliot Anderson stuff there. I think that's a massive hole in their team now. I don't think I would have paid 116 million for him because I don't think any football is worth that, to be honest. But it's a lot of money. They are going to have to reinvest that. But out of them sides there, I think Leeds have done some really good business. I really do. They've got James Trafford from City, who, we mentioned goalkeepers before. He's a good goalkeeper. He's a really good goalkeeper. Got a little bit unlucky with, he went to City in the San Donnarumma, but didn't put a foot wrong when he was playing for City last year. Made some good saves. I think he was in the cup, made some good saves in the cups and stuff. So, and then they got Harry Wilson on a free. I don't end up paying him an absolute fortune in wages, I would imagine. But, like a lot of clubs would have been after him. I would have loved him at Sunderland. Yeah. Absolutely loved him at Sunderland. So I think they've made a good, and if they can keep what they did very well was keeping Calvert-Lewin fit. If they can keep him fit again this season, I can see them, maybe battling for the top 10, getting into maybe a European place. I think they've done some good business. The last strike, he's gone to Brighton, which is a good sign for Brighton, but I think they'll be more than okay. Really do. And I'll let someone else talk about Spurs and Everton.
Just on Leeds quickly, I thought they had a really good back end of that second half of the season as well, didn't they? They were really short.
Well, they survived comfortably, didn't they?
Yeah,
they survived.
Probably one of the form teams, I think, actually, when you look at that kind of last sort of 3 months run in. And Farke, obviously, at the end of last season, was making some comments, but that seems to have settled down. I think Leeds look well set. I think they were really good at home. They just need to improve that away record a little bit, and I could see them sort of pushing further at the league. And Calvin Lewin, we said it last year, but he managed to stay fit for most of the season last year and had a really good year. So interesting one for Leeds. Grimmy, any of the remainders you'd like to discuss on this graphic here? Oh, I can't hear Grimmy. Can everyone hear Grimmy?
We're having technical issues tonight.
Good Lord, man, not remember to take mute off before he starts talking, can he? Sorry about that. That's my problem.
I feel like we're in COVID and lockdown and everyone's got used to Zoom.
We are.
No,
rewound 6 years.
It's my mock-up. I put my hands on that one. Yeah, Spurs. I think they're gonna have obviously a much better season this year. I don't think we're going for a 16th or 17th finish again. I think we're going to be well clear of, or they're going to be well clear, of any sort of relegation battle. The only thing for me that they lack at the minute is kind of that forward line. I think obviously you've had Kulusevski, who's out for so long, and we don't know what's going on with him, if he's even going to come back and play this season. We don't know what's going on with him. Richarlison kind of turns up when he wants to, and that's kind of it. Solanke has injury issues. And other than that, there isn't really much going forward that kind of gets me excited about Spurs at the minute. I think defensively and in the midfield, they've made fantastic signings. Of course, as United fans, they've made a couple of signings we were looking at in the summer, in Tonali and Fernandes, and I think they'll be great in that sort of trio of midfielders that they'll have in the middle of the park. And then they've brought in experience like Robertson and people like that. Obviously, they've got Senesi from Bournemouth on a free, which I think's fantastic business. And Van Heck from Brighton as well for 50 million. Obviously, watched him a few times for Brighton last year, and I think he's got a very high ceiling in terms of where he can go. So, yeah. And then when you look at what they've got rid of as well, you've got likes of Romero. I think after he sort of flew off to Argentina before the final game of the season, I think that kind of said everything that was going to happen. I know he came back in the end because he heard all the fans kicking off about it, but he came back eventually. But I think him going is kind of going to be better for them, I think, because him as a captain and as a centre-back is a bit of a liability, staying on the pitch and not losing his head from time to time. Obviously, Jed Spence is an interesting one as well, going to Inter. I didn't expect that to happen, especially with the World Cup that he had. So, yeah, I think if Spurs are going to sort of challenge for that Champions League place, for me, they need one or two signings in the forward line, which I don't know if they're necessarily going to do, considering the amount of money they've already spent. And the money they've spent already is not very Spursy, as they would say. So yeah, I think they need to add a couple of forward players, and I think they'll be fighting for Champions League, I think.
Who have they got as the goalie now? Because I saw one of my friends putting something about Vicario's gone.
Yeah, Vicario's gone, yeah.
Vicario's gone,
aren't they?
Yeah, they're keeping the guy from last season who Tudor obviously didn't like the look of in the first 20 minutes against Atletico, and then hauled him off. But then when he actually played in the sort of the run-in for De Zerbi, he actually looked,
those last couple of games.
He actually looked really good. So I think De Zerbi has obviously put his arm around him and said, "Look, mate, let's forget about what's happened with the other guy and let's build something here." And I think when you look at what he's got in front of him now, I think he could have quite a good season. So yeah, I think Spurs are. It's 2/3 of the way there for Spurs, but I think they need a bit more up top if they're really gonna push on and sort of challenge for the big prizes and the top places in the league.
Am I right in saying they signed Dubravka as well, Spurs?
They did,
Yeah.
He's the backup,
yeah.
I thought so. It's been around him for the last few seasons, hasn't it?
He's had a few clubs.
Yeah, more than Rory McIlroy.
Book off, isn't he? Yes, yeah.
Yeah, literally.
He's been everywhere. I think the Spurs spine looks a little bit more structured and a little bit more reliable than it has kind of in the past. Say Grimmy, like, I mean, 2 17th place finishes that can't, they've got no European football this year either. So everyone's expecting that finally Spurs will start to kind of get their act in this, and they've spent a lot of money to do that. So, and they needed to, because they were on a one-way train to disaster last season. So needs to step up for them. Shah, we've got Everton or Palace. Would you like to take Everton and I'll take Palace? Does that work for you?
Yeah. Let me find my notes on Everton.
Don't mind.
Can we go the other way if that's okay? Because I've got loads of notes on Crystal Palace. Only if that's okay, though, Sam.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I found it really hard to put a place in my predictions for Crystal Palace, if I'm being quite honest, because we have obviously seen Crystal Palace under Glasner, who has obviously won trophies. They won, was it the Conference League last season as well? They obviously beat Manchester City too in the FA Cup. So we're coming off that. And I feel like this season for Crystal Palace will be a transition period, and there is a lot of change at Selhurst Park. Obviously, new manager in charge. I think it's Pierre. Is he called Sage or Sage? One of them, anyway. Sage. Yeah. I'm not very good at my at my words, but yeah, we've obviously got that, and I feel like with them, they have added some players to it. We've obviously got Dwight McNeil, who's obviously got Premier League experience. He's joined from Everton, but then obviously Brennan Johnson has gone the other way. Obviously, they have got the experience in that defence for them. We recently signed someone who I absolutely love, very familiar with, Tomiyasu, which I think is quite a solid signing, because we saw glimpses of what he can obviously do at Arsenal. But I don't think he necessarily got the credit and applaudits he deserved at Arsenal. And he was he didn't really have that consistency there, did he? But I feel like at Crystal Palace, he can become someone who's quite valuable to their squad. We've obviously got, I'm not just going all Japanese here, but Kamada is very, very solid too in that obviously midfield role for them. They've signed another young player, Kalili is called, and he's apparently a winger or a wing back. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of formation Sage does like to play. Obviously, they've still got plenty of attacking quality. Mateta, I know the last few seasons there has been rumours, will he be staying, will he be leaving Crystal Palace? I don't think there's necessarily been that many rumours this summer. I think it's pretty quiet on that end. So I'm guessing Mateta will be staying at Crystal Palace as far as we know, unless something does happen, obviously, towards the end of deadline day.
I did see, Shah. I think they're in a bit of a standoff over the contract, I think
oh,
it's
really?
One of those. So it may well be if someone comes up with something that could go a different way. But...
Oh, interesting. They've obviously got Strand Larson as well. Sa, who we've seen does pop up with the vital goals. And I feel like with them, and obviously Adam Wharton as well, you cannot forget Adam Wharton. And he's somebody who I thought this summer in particular, would there be a lot more interest with Adam Wharton? I know he's probably got a bit of a hefty price tag on him because we've seen the quality of him the last few seasons, but he's obviously remaining there at the moment. So I feel like with Crystal Palace, they do have a good squad, if I'm being quite honest. I feel like they need a little bit more creative players added to that, especially if obviously Mateta goes. But it's one of them with Crystal Palace. I'm really intrigued to see what they can do because I just feel like we're not really familiar with the manager. And because there has been so much change at the moment, I think it will be like a transition season for them. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued to see what they'll do.
Yeah, it is definitely another side with a lot of change and a lot of eyes. As we said, nine new managers to get used to this season. Some of which are very new to us in terms of Premier League. So if I take Everton as the last ones on this list, so Everton had a kind of funny season, I think, last season. So obviously, first season with the Hill Dickinson Stadium. They ended up in March 3 points off the Champions League places and then kind of just disintegrated towards the back end of the season and only took 3 points in their last 7 games. So it all kind of disappeared away. The Hill Dickinson Centre, they only had 6 wins, so I don't think they quite picked up as many as that they hoped for there. And they're kind of one, it's been a bit of a strange pre-season, I think. David Moyes has been kind of quite quiet. There's not been a lot kind of coming out from him. He has spoken in the last few days saying that he feels that they have a long way to go. He still feels they need quite a lot in the transfer market. As you mentioned, Shah, they've got Brennan Johnson's come in and the switch with Dwight McNeil. Hayden Hackney's come in from Middlesbrough. Obviously had a sensational season for Middlesbrough last season, but it's another one of a jump up, a step up. What can he do? Interested to see. Obviously, they've got James Garner in that midfield as well. Interesting how he comes into that because Idrissa Gueye's gone. Finally, he's been, one of their long servers has disappeared. They've also added Christian Norgard from Arsenal, and they've signed. I think they've signed him on a permanent deal. Is it Roll? Is it Mervyn Roll? I think is coming on a permanent deal as well for them. So. A few, but there's still some question marks. And Dye is another one who's having, I think he's rejected a couple of contracts. There's lots of Saudi interest. He'd be a massive miss for them if Dye went. Obviously, Grealish has now returned to Man City at the moment because he played for them in the Community Shield the other day with his loan. Obviously, they missed him through injury at the back end of the season as well. But I think it's just one of those where I think they're hoping for some injured players to come back as well. Jared Branthwaite, they need him kind of fit for a full season. They've got high hopes for him. They need a striker to step up. Apparently, Barry's been looking really good in pre-season, but that was the problem last season. Between Beto seemed to have sort of very short hot streaks, didn't he? And Barry got a few, but there was no kind of man that you could hang your hat on. It was kind of one or the other. It was a big switcheroo for either side. But I'd agree with I think Moyes' assessment. They need a bit more. And that's why it is difficult doing the predictions at the minute with 2.5 weeks in the transfer window because a lot can happen. And the first games of the Premier League, we know, change people's ideas in terms of what they do either. So Everton, really, I think they were difficult to kind of predict last season. I think they're very much the same this season. They always seem to end up in that kind of safety spot when now since they've been under Moyes, you kind of feel they're a stable club and you wouldn't kind of want them to do anything kind of drastic, but I think they'll be expecting a little bit more now. It's the second season at the Hill Dickinson and getting so close last season. So yeah, we will see with Everton. Should we move on to the next batch of teams? Let's keep it rolling. So we've got 6. We've got 6 on this slide. But I'm pretty sure that the one in the top left, we already have a man who will take care of that one for us. But to start things with, before we get to Sunderland, because Sunderland were higher up, we can't be dealing with them.
I'll do bottom right as well if you want.
Exactly. This is it. Maybe we can take both the corners. But we'd like to go first. Grimmy, would you like to have the first pick of this wonderful 6?
I feel like you're making this too easy for me. Do I go? I mean, I've got one of two I'd like to pick, but I feel like I should leave Newcastle for Ant.
No. I think you should go for Newcastle, mate.
Oh, do you? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'll go Newcastle then. I was going to go Chelsea, but I'll go Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle. Interesting summer, I think it's safe to say, with what's been going on with them. Of course, they've had 3 big, massive transfers leave. You've had, obviously, Tonali, Guimaraes, and Gordon all go. Of course, you've had the experience of Trippier and co like that going as well. Eddie Howe leaving in the middle of pre-season. again, I was surprised he lasted that long. I felt like by the end of last season, he was going to go of his own accord and say, I've kind of taken it as far as I can. But obviously, felt like more might have happened in the transfer window. That's probably why he stayed. But then he's seen how things have developed and maybe taking his leave from there, which, to be fair, I don't necessarily blame him for. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name of the manager that's come in. Is it Hassel or Ysel?
I think it's Yasler. I think I heard you pronounce it Yasler. Matthias Yasler.
So Matthias Yasler, he's come in, of course, from Saudi, but before that, I think he was in Germany where he did pretty well for his short period. And they have spent some money. They have brought in a few players, again, all kind of on the younger side, not necessarily like sort of, you know, your ready-made talents to come in and maybe set the Premier League alight. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, because we saw when they brought in sort of, you know, the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and people like that, just because they were on the younger side of things doesn't mean that they can't perform and bring you something. The unknown quantity to all of this, though, is the manager. I don't know how good he's going to fit the Premier League. It's one thing doing it in Saudi and doing pretty well, and it's one thing doing it in Germany and being halfway decent. But coming into the Premier League with a new batch of players coming in and no real big talisman, you would say, there isn't. It's not like it's got Isak up top anymore or the Guimaraes in midfield to help run things. He's pretty much starting off with a new batch of players and having to make the best of it from there. So for me, Newcastle, it's kind of mid-table, hope for the best and see where they're at. Maybe the players that they've brought in are going to surprise us. The one that I kind of know a little bit about is Dedic, the right back they've got from Benfica. I know he was highly thought of in Benfica, and obviously they've got him for 35 million, but they obviously needed a right back after Trippier went. It'll be interesting to see what that means for Livramento as well, because obviously that's going to give him competition for that place, so maybe that kicks him on. But yeah, for Newcastle, I worry about them. Not necessarily, I don't think they're going to get relegated. I don't think it's that dire, but I do think it's kind of going to be a bit of a middling season for them based on what they've done so far. Obviously, things can change if they make one or two big signings in the window. As we've said a bunch of times, 2 weeks left to go, anything can happen. But for me, I can't see them being any higher than 12th, maybe. I think that's kind of the highest I could see them being. I think they'll be solidly in the middle.
Yeah, it's a tough load of change, and it's kind of jumped on from last summer's transfer window, which again was one of bids being rejected for players, some unrest in certain players. Obviously now losing Bruno Guimaraes off the back of Tonali, that whole midfield's been kind of decimated. They've lost leadership as well, as you said. Eddie Howe going, completely new manager. They just seem like they're this is a complete transition, absolute transition from where they are. But it's a real risky time for them. I think they're calling it Newcastle 2.0, I've heard. But I mean, usually that's on the basis that 2.0 jumps 1. But the way that squad is at the minute, it certainly needs a lot. And again, everybody now knows that they've got a lot of money as well, which didn't help them last season because, as we saw, bids got a bit panicky. Couldn't spend it, and they got very panicky at the end of the window. So, I'm sure you'd like a word or two on the man on Newcastle.
I'm going to make. I think what Grimmy says. I think 12th to 16th. I don't think they'll go down. I think they've probably still got a decent enough side, but losing Bruno's huge, absolutely huge. And you just mentioned this 2.0 thing. I think Newcastle under this Saudi ownership has now peaked, and now we're seeing what's happening now when they haven't been able to maintain this, this level of we're going to play in Europe every season. We're going to sign these players, and this was the problem. This was the problem to begin with, where the signees had to sign Bruno, the sign Gordon, the sign Tonali with the intention of they're going to be qualifying for Champions League every season. And the problem being is now they had a terrible season last year. Why Eddie Howe sticked it out until then leaving the day after pre-season games absolutely beyond me. I mean, it's obviously because they said Bruno's going to get sold, but I just think it's set. Is it Yesler you called him? It set him back. I think I'd set him back a month because he's like there's still like the players that brought in would have been players for Eddie Howe. Like Bamba, who they brought in, who I've watched a couple of times. He looks like a donkey, to be honest. He doesn't look like great, to be honest. I like Strauer, who they've got from Ajax. I think he's a good footballer. I think he's got a good chance. And they signed one of the Ivory Coast wingers, didn't they, who's really, really quick. So
Toure, yeah.
Yeah, Toure. So I think they've got some good players. I just think they're going to miss that midfield tonight in Bruno. Like they really are. And I think Bruno going to Arsenal's just pretty much rubber stamped Arsenal winning the league again, to be totally honest with you. But while I'm on, can I take Fulham?
You can, certainly can, yeah.
Because Fulham are my team who, if the bottom three do get out of it, I think you look at Fulham, who may go down. And I know they've made a couple of they've raided Real Madrid, haven't they? They've like signed Garcia and is it Palacios? They've signed, and they've also went to Bayern and signed a player at Bayern. So you're thinking, oh, they're really interesting signs and stuff. But then they've spent 30 million on Shea Charles. So it's going okay, right? But I do think they'll struggle. I really do. I think losing the manager, losing Harry Wilson, even Raul Jimenez, who I know he's gone to Wolves, but he got a few goals for them last season, didn't he? You know, he was still that linchpin. He's still scoring penalties. He's still scoring.
I've got a stat here, and sorry to interrupt you. I've got a stat here that I've got Harry Wilson and Raul Jimenez accounted for 57% of their goal involvements last year.
Yeah. So where's their replacement? Sam Zahn centre forward. So is it going to be? Is it Munoz who's there? Munoz is there, isn't he? The striker it was a.
Munoz, yeah, he had a bit of an injury hit season.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he was at Palace. That's right. And is he going to be the one to step up? And he's going to have to be. So I do worry for them. I really do. I think that's they're a one. I think if a team from we had obviously the Coventry fan had a little pop before about them staying up and stuff. They're the teams that the three at the bottom need to look at. The likes of them. Maybe the likes of Brentford who also haven't strengthened at all yet and have got Sunday, Thursday. And they haven't got a big squad, Brentford. They've always looked at that. They don't get that many injuries. But you take Thiago out that side, where's the goals going to come from?
Brentford didn't get into Europe, though.
Yeah, Brentford didn't qualify.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking Brighton. I was thinking Brighton, Sunday, Thursday stuff. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm sorry. But even with Brentford, though, you take Thiago out that side and they're going to struggle, aren't they?
Yeah. It's definitely you're looking at that. And I think Arbeloa is a big risk. Arbeloa's a big. I would, if there was somebody I think might not be there by the end of the season, if you would kind of put that money down. But which makes me wonder, because you always have a team like this where you look at the start and go, I don't know if that mixes. Fulham is somebody I could see putting somebody stable in at the back end of the season that just does enough that settles them, and they maybe bring somebody or two in January if it's going a sort of a bit awry. But as you said, I just don't know where the goals are coming from them at the minute. And it was a Marco Silva side, so it's just it's an awful lot that needs to change for Fulham. So they're certainly a threat. They'll be looking over the shoulder. We're normally Fulham are one that we're sort of feeling pretty comfortable about because they always end up looking pretty solid, and maybe they'll surprise us with some of the players they've still got. But there we are. Who'd like to go next? Shah, would you like to pick off?
Just while we're on Brentford, please, can I cover Brentford if you don't mind?
Of course,
you can indeed. Yeah.
So I feel like I know last season, and I do want to hold my hands up if I'm being quite honest, because I did have Brentford. I think I had them in relegation because I was really unsure of what to expect from Keith Andrews, and it was like going into the unknown. But I just want to hold my hands up and say, apologies, and what a fantastic manager and fantastic job he really did there, because it must have been hard, mustn't it, after being, I know he was part of the backroom staff, but Thomas Frank was such the core of Brentford for so long. So just having to replace him, I think it's just a fantastic job. But I actually think, to be fair with Brentford, they will be quite hungry now because it just kind of got taken from them, that European spot at the last second in it, at that last hurdle. So I feel like they will be more hungry for that now. And obviously they don't have the European football, which will be fantastic for them. So they can hopefully try and build on that this season. I know some of the signings that they have made. Mamadou Sangare was one of them, and he was a standout midfielder in League One, as in the French league, not the EFL one last season. So he's a good signing for them. Obviously, they've brought in Jadon Anthony from Burnley as well, which I think could be a fantastic one for them. Obviously, gives them another option out wide. And if I've got this right, I'm thinking he signed Callum Wilson on a free transfer. And I know obviously fitness is something we do need to take into consideration with him, but I feel like it could be a perfect opportunity for him at Brentford. And what I'm really hoping is, because at the beginning of the season, we saw Thiago and we saw exactly what he can do. And I feel like he did tail off towards the end, because I've got him in my fantasy team for last season, I think it was. I think I jinxed him. But I feel like if we do get the Brentford from last season with those couple of additions, but if they can obviously get a couple more in, I really do think that they could challenge. And I think Keith Andrews, because his first season, he was so close to getting that European spot, I think he'll be hungrier for it now. I don't know if anybody else agrees.
I think Brentford are one that they quietly go about what they do. They're never going to make anything on a two statement. They've actually broken their club transfer record for Mamadou Sangare as well in midfield. Who was, I know it's Ligue 1, but he was team of the season in Ligue 1 last season. Somebody that they rate, but same as they've kind of got a model where they pick these players up. They've had like Mbeumo, Visser, Tony, Norgard have all left them in recent times. As you said, Thiago's an interesting one because he got 22 goals last season, but 8 of them were penalties. And of course, we know set plays goals, and Kayode with his long throw-ins and all of this. You know, they've got those kind of different threats.
Haven't they got Callum Wilson as well now?
Yeah. He's signed.
Because if he's not injured, I know he's getting on a bit, but he can still get the goals in.
He had he picked a couple up for West Ham, didn't he, when he was coming off the bench? You know, it wasn't ultimately enough, but he had those. So I agree. So look, there's arguments Brentford could go like sort of the other way, but I don't know. They've kind of earned. I suppose I feel like with me, they've earned the kind of respect that you kind of say, okay, no, I feel they are really established Premier League team. I can see them doing, and them not having Europe. I think there'll be a pain in the bum for a lot of teams next season.
Especially the teams that do have Europe as well. So no offence to obviously the Sunderlands and stuff, but you've obviously got to think about that. Brighton as well, like those kind of teams. Will it take the toll on those kind of teams, like the games and stuff? And you've got someone like a Brentford there who just missed out on it. And I know, obviously, it's a different season. Anything can happen. But I just feel like the way they are run, Brentford, and the thing what intrigues me the most is if they feel like there's interest on one of their star players, they'll go out straight away and recruit and get another one, like another rare gem. And I love that about them. They did it when obviously with Ivan Toney, losing Ivan Toney, obviously Visa and Bumo, and then the obviously got Thiago and things like that. And I just feel like it's very similar to the way that Brighton's run with the recruitment side of it. And I don't know, I've just got to, I don't want to say too much of my predictions, but I just feel like Brentford will have a good season.
Decent season. Glenn's got them down amongst many teams that he feels have the potential to go down. Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle, Everton, Bournemouth, and Brighton all have arguments to go down. Apparently, Bournemouth, Heather. Surely not. Surely that's not a thing. No, there we go.
No words needed.
That's all that's required there. But Heather, we'll come to you next to Brighton or Chelsea. One of those you'd like to speak
Brighton.
About? Go on then, have a bit of Brighton.
Yeah, I think they will. They've obviously got Europe. I can see potential for them winning the Conference League. Obviously, they've got the playoffs, haven't they? So they've got to get through that first. But if they get into it, I can see them winning it. Which means they may drop off a little bit in the league, but Brighton are Brighton. They just always seem to find these just like wonder kid players that nobody's ever heard of, and then they sell them to Chelsea usually a couple of years later and make a massive profit on them. It's just a really well-run club, and I think they'll probably be like mid-table, but I don't see them getting anywhere near the relegation zone, and I don't think they'll get into like the top 6 or everything. So
they've got to manage Conference League now, and they've lost some experience. Welbeck's gone, which I know has broken mine and Grimmy's heart. Welbeck going to Chelsea's not is one that's happened. You got Van Heck obviously going. James Milner finally retired. They've got a couple of injuries as well. Matoma's still not back yet. Minter's out as well for 2-3 months. He pulled up in 3 seasons. So that's another big loss for them. And so is it Vuskovic they've signed from Spurs, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
That's another signing that really, really like kind of confuses me because I spent a lot of money on him and he wasn't getting a game for Spurs.
Yeah.
That's how look how bad Spurs' defense was last season. Christian Romero was playing regularly over him. It's like it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
But they'll do something with him. They probably will.
Probably, yeah.
See what they've done with other players, and it's just incredible what they do. And I think like the Bournemouth management have tried to sort of copy that model a little bit. I'm always really impressed with Brighton.
No, they had a really good end to that last season. 7 wins in the final 12 league match, but then they sort of dropped out of it, didn't they? On that last day, they were sat in the I think they were sat in the Europa League spot, weren't they?
Yeah.
Start of the game and dropped out of that. But
I think it was between them, Sunderland, us, and Brentford.
Yeah, it was very, very tight. And this is why the predictions with these so because you look how tight it went last season. That it was changing on the final day between 4 or 5 teams. So
it was a mad Premier League last season, wasn't it? It
was super competitive as well. I think it was one of the most competitive Premier Leagues across the depth of the Premier League, for sure. Glenn's saying one thing people aren't talking about relegation is what happens up in Man City in their 115 charges. We've been asking that for the last 3 years. So I've seen 1 or 2 people have actually predicted and said that they based on it, but I mean,
people predicted City to go down.
Yeah, and the fact that happened.
Yeah. So I can go on a limb now and say I don't think that's going to happen.
But even if they charge it, the first thing that goes in is an appeal. But I'll happily accept Coventry staying up at the behest of Man City being relegated. That's something I can quite happily live with and sleep very well about. But I think
the Premier League will shit themselves if that happens. To be honest.
Yes. I think an appeal in a little cash sum would.
Yes.
A naughty fine. We know what
some go away money, I think, mate.
We'll see how that plays out. So who have we got left? We've got
Chelsea.
You've got Chelsea.
We've got Chelsea.
I'm impressed with Chelsea, to be fair.
Chelsea have done some stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like with Alonso, and we've seen obviously what he can do in the foreign leagues, and I feel like this summer it's been really different with the recruitment because it was always, especially under this new model and Todd Bowley and stuff, it's always been bringing the young talent. But I feel like this with Alonso is brought in people it can trust who are Premier League proven, like Danny Welbeck. You've got Jordan Henderson, which some people were like, I wasn't expecting that. But to be fair, you look at Jordan Henderson and he's the kind of player who I was talking about last season when I was talking about Chelsea. And I was like, they don't really have any leadership. They have no leaders in that dressing room. And we saw obviously from what he was like in the World Cup and why Thomas Tuchel took him for that leadership and that role. And I feel like the signings they have done is very unexpected, but it could work. And I've actually got a really good feeling with Chelsea because they don't obviously have Europe now, do they, after that awful season last season. And I think they could really build something, put it together. I'm not going to say they're going to win it, to be honest, but I feel like they could definitely achieve Champions League football under Alonso if obviously it does work and these signings work.
I think they're a problem this season. I like 100%. Alonso as a manager, and I think he's the right kind of person to bring him in. I think you've got Morgan Rogers as well. I've got Morgan Rogers.
Forgot about him. How did I forget about him, Sam?
It's a cheeky 117 million, just a new player in. But as you said,
I'm joking.
Henderson and Welbeck's experience. Welbeck's played with Pedro up front as well.
We've got Lacroix as well from Palace.
Lacroix is a good signing as well.
Watch out for Quenda. Quenda's going to be a good long-term buy.
Yeah.
I just hope that Jordan Henderson doesn't climb over any barriers.
Because he's still got a broken arm.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be fit for the start of the season. Don't think he's going to be fit for the start of the season or anything. But you're right there, though, with him. He doesn't even have to play. You know, it's just the one that's why they were after Granit Xhaka, because they want to sign Granit Xhaka. They wanted that experience. They wanted that, that's someone to say that this is the level we need to be at, and this is the level that we need. And if they don't go to that level, or there's any slacking off like that, Henderson won't think twice about, like taking people to task about it. And that's what Xhaka does. Xhaka's been perfect for it, and that's why he wanted him. You look what he did at Leverkusen under Alonso.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll definitely be in top 4. I don't think they'll win the league though, but I think we'll see a definite improvement, and I think he's a great manager as well. So
they've been sensible, haven't they, Anne? They've actually been sensible for a change, and it's been one of them in recent seasons where you've looked at them and you thought, certain things and stuff, and you think, why have we done that? But for once, I'm actually looking at this transfer window, looking at the managerial appointment, and I'm thinking, that could really work.
A lot of the signings at the mix. Obviously, they're going to lose Enzo Fernandez. So obviously he's going to go. Hopefully, like for them, because I mean, Fernandez is going to get booed everywhere he goes, isn't he?
That's just off me.
Especially if he stays in England. But like with that, lost my train of thought there. But with that, that'll bring a lot of money back into them and everything like that. But they've already replaced him in Morgan Rogers, who was a fantastic player. So I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think they'll definitely be top 4, which obviously might worry our Manchester United contingent amongst us. But
we shall see in the predictions.
We will. But I do see them having a better season, and like I say, I think he's a hell of a manager. And then I got bad tried at Real Madrid, but it didn't quite work for him at Real Madrid, did it? But I think he's a great manager.
And Real Madrid's always been a nightmare because you've got the way that club's run, and that they're going to make the signings. He wants to do a certain thing, but I think he's got a decent level of kind of control by the sounds of it at Chelsea. But so Grimmy, I know you did a Chelsea special, didn't you, with Shauna sort of a few weeks ago? So you've had a good deep dive at Chelsea. Are Chelsea fans feeling a lot more optimistic now?
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously. Go watch that video, by the way, if you haven't seen it already. It's worth watching.
Cheap plug.
But yeah, I think it's generally quite positive at the minute with Chelsea. I know obviously there's still some issues with the ownership and things they're doing. I think they announced today they're changing the names of the reserve teams or something stupid.
Yes, they are.
I'd seen that they're doing that, and I think that's just another thing. But then I heard on Sky Sports, I think Ted Olboli's apparently might be selling his stake, or he's looking to sell his stake. Yeah. So obviously, in terms of the boardroom and things up there, it's kind of still a bit of a circus at times. But I think in terms of the appointment of Alonso, the players that they've brought in, and obviously the business that they've done, I think they are pretty happy with what they've done so far. And certainly speaking to Sean, who is going to be our resident Chelsea fan on this when he joins us, I know he's pretty happy with what they've done so far and is looking forward to the season, which he hasn't felt for a while, to be fair. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to watch Chelsea, because I think they will be a very interesting watch next season, good or bad.
Certainly will. So that leaves one team left on this page, of course, that have the Premier League, but they have European competition as well. And we'll have a chat on. And just to plug as well, there will be a Sunderland deep dive preview coming out for you this week. So don't worry, we will be doing a little bit more on Sunderland. But for now, for this preview, there's only one man we can do. And second season. Last season was fantastic. European football now this season. Where's kind of the Sunderland mentality going in this season?
Just looking forward to it again. Looking forward to Europe. Looking forward to seeing what we can do again. It's going to be a lot more difficult. Obviously, it's second time around. Second season syndrome and all that, which I don't believe in. I don't believe in second season syndrome, to be totally honest with you. And I don't believe that this European stuff where you're automatically going to struggle because you're in Europe. I don't believe in all that stuff. One team has been relegated from qualifying for Europe one season and going down the next, and that was Ipswich. All those years ago under George Graham. George Graham wasn't even him. George Burley. There we go.
Graham, I didn't know you were a manager.
Graham somebody. George Burley. So I don't say that. I think what I'm happy with is that we haven't lost anybody. You know, like you're seeing, like, obviously we saw the World Cup. We saw what our players did at the World Cup. You know, the likes of Brian Brobby having a really, really good World Cup. You know, Granit Xhaka having a good World Cup. Nelson Angulo scoring goals. Chelsea and Talby having a really good World Cup. I think we had, was it 6 different goal scorers and 10 goals or something? There was only 2 teams who beat us with that. And, you know, like, it just goes to show that this is a really, really good squad. And yes, we need some players, and I think we definitely need a left back. We were meant to get Methiel from Toulouse, but apparently there's been an issue with his medical, so he's flown back to France, and then they're going to iron out something. I think there's like a back issue or something or other. So, which is a shame because I quite like him. So that's a bit of a shame. But we have signed Thomas Minier from on a free, who, you know, he's a Belgian international, was at the World Cup, made 2 assists for Belgium in what was a pretty poor tournament for them, but still a good footballer. Pre-season's been good. You know, won a few games. I think we lost to Liverpool, but played like half. So played our young uns in the second half, and then they lost. I think we got beat 1-0 for Leeds, but we beat Wrexham. We had a really good result last week against Lons, who, you know, we played really, really well against them. And they've gone on and beat Paris Saint-Germain at the weekend. So, like, you know, and we played really well and got a good 2-0 win. We played Rennes on Saturday and pulled it back 1-2-1. So Robbie scoring a goal and completely bullying the centre half out of the way, which is hilarious. So I think, you know, a season with Robbie being fully fit will be good. A season with Enzo Lefebvre back in the 10 is going to be really, really dangerous. And like I say, just all those players at the World Cup were just mint. And like a few of them have got like their second season in the Premier League, now used to it, now adjusting to it. Europe's going to be a problem because we've never had that before, but we were in the Championship 2 years ago, and there's not much difference to playing Saturday, Tuesday.
That's true.
Than what it is Sunday, Thursday. It's pretty much the same. So I'm quite confident. I don't think we'll finish 7th. I think we maybe have to take it on the chin a little bit, because I think there's just teams we've mentioned, like Spurs, mentioned Chelsea, who probably are going to go ahead of us. But like, you look at the teams who finished above last year, you kind of think there's not that many going to finish above us. And the Coventry fan, not Simon, the other lad who was on before, saying Coventry would finish above us. Bring it on. That's all I'll say.
Go. So another exciting season for Sunderland. Potentially, we'll see where everybody's got them in our predictions coming shortly. But it's now the remaining 6 teams that we have to talk about from our season. Of course, of the champions Arsenal, we have non-Pep Guardiola's at Manchester City, Michael Carrick's Manchester United, the Europa League winners. Of course it was, because it was Unai Emery. We have Iraola now switching from Bournemouth to Liverpool. And of course, with Bournemouth on this graphic as well. So it will be one that Heather can talk about. But first off the bat, Charles, would you like to pick first? Would you like first dibs on this one?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go for Manchester City. That's okay.
Oh,
yeah.
You're going to break Grimmy's heart then, go to United, and Grimmy's like,
good Lord. When she went Manchester, and went very slow, I was like, oh, God.
City.
City.
No, I feel like with Manchester City, and I feel like we've said this a lot throughout the show, there's a lot of teams having the transition season, and I do feel for Maresca, because he's obviously been involved with Manchester City before, he's been involved with Pep Guardiola before, but I feel like with him, not only is he coming in to Manchester City side that has just now lost Rodri, obviously John Stones is gone, Bernardo Silva's gone, but he is coming to a Manchester City side who have lost Pep Guardiola. So not only are you're gonna have people for any new manager after a transition period, during a transition period, you're going to have a lot of opinions anyway. But to come in after Pep Guardiola, it's like David Moyes coming in after Alex Ferguson, in my opinion. Like, it is just madness and it's absolutely mental. So I think whatever he does, Enzo Maresca is going to probably get criticised for anyway. And there's going to be a lot of opinions on him because he isn't Pep Guardiola. I think they've made some good signings. I think Elliot Anderson is a very, very good signing for Manchester City. Don't get me wrong, a lot of money for Elliot Anderson, but I think he's a top quality player. Again, I just feel like they need someone alongside him. And I know they've been linked with Enzo Fernandez is one of them. I just can't bring myself to say his name, if I'm being quite honest. Enzo Fernandez is one of them. And I think it was actually was it?
Is it Bouadi?
I think it was a midfielder for Morocco as well.
They're very linked.
Yeah, they've been linked with as well, which I think will be a really good signing for them. But I'm looking at them and I don't know what to expect with Manchester City, and we'll get into my predictions after. And the only reason I've had them involved in the conversation, because I think it will be the style of football and everything Maresca plays. I think people may get a little bit frustrated with that. I think City aren't going to be the Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, obviously, and they are going to struggle in some games. And the only reason I've had them so high up at the moment is because of Erling Haaland. And I think there's going to be more pressure on Erling Haaland, if I'm being quite honest, because they've had a lot of changes. And I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of pressure on him. And I think this is a season, in my opinion, where Phil Foden has to step up, because we've seen it time and time again where we've had glimpses of him, but he's not being consistent. And I feel like this is the season where he has got the perfect opportunity now. Same with Jack Grealish. It's a clean slate. No Pep Guardiola. They've got to step up now or they could be out the door.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive, I think this is a massively interesting season where City are sitting at the minute, and obviously that result on Sunday, and their performance on Sunday, they just look they just look like they hadn't, half of them hadn't turned up the pre-season yet. Arsenal looked at it, but City were far off. But
a lot of managers are saying that, Sam, though, aren't they? You've heard, like, I think it was the Liverpool manager as well said the same thing. He says we're 2 weeks behind, we look cooked and all that, and Yesel said that at Newcastle. They're like, well, yeah, but the World Cup only finished 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's like the I'm going to have players slowly. It will slow burn this season, I think. Just off the bat, but you're right. They look really poor on Sunday, didn't they? They did look very poor.
I think they've got a lot to do, and it's a massive change. Say Guardiola's just it's era defining, and that's a massive change. To then lose Rodri on top of that. The quality of
John Stones
leadership.
John Stones, And you know what? I don't, as much as, because and Shah hit the nail on the head, before about this, the Maresca stuff, because it does remind of Moyes at United, because Maresca was Guardiola's choice, wasn't he? Like, Guardiola was like, I think he'd said, like, because he's his mate and all that stuff, I think he'd said he'd do a really good job. And it was a bit like what Fergie said about Moyes, wasn't it? Fergie was like, he's going to be the one. And it didn't work, did it? It didn't work.
There's more added pressure on them, isn't there? Like, they're going into so pressure anyway. And then there's more added pressure the fact they have chosen them.
So, and he's already failed at Chelsea, hasn't he? So it's a huge job for him. Like, it's a huge season. I mean, it's also as well, I'm going to move on very, very quickly to Villa. And Villa are one of my teams to not struggle, but I think they won't qualify for Europe at all. Even though I've put them quite high up in my predictions, but I've changed my mind a little bit. I would kind of like they've lost Morgan Rodgers, and apparently Ollie Watkins is going to go. And that's, again, goals. How many goals is that going to be? How many assists is that going to be?
Konsa's linked away as well. Ezri Konsa's linked to Arsenal.
So for them, I think it's going to be, because they've got the Champions League back as well. And we mentioned Chelsea, Tottenham, who are going to be probably up there and amongst it. And there's going to be surprise package as well. There's going to be like a Sunderland who get up there as well. So For Villa, they're gonna have to like really start the season well before the Champions League starts. Get some points on the board, I think, for them.
They struggled a bit last time they were in the Champions League as well, didn't they?
Well, they struggled last season, Heather, though, didn't they? The start of the season, they couldn't score a goal, and then obviously they went absolute doolally at the end. Like obviously, and one of the best, one of my favourite sides to watch in the league. But it's a lot of pressure on them this year, I think. On Villa.
What worries me as well with Villa is the fact they've obviously lost Tielemans. He's gone to United.
Yeah,
and Amadou Onana at the World Cup got sidelined with an ACL injury, didn't he, as well? So that's another solid person in that midfield who is now obviously out. And I think, did they sign someone from PSG as well? And he's got an injury. I cannot think of his name. It's going to annoy me. But the only good thing is we've got a great goalkeeper now.
They're signing Suzuki, aren't they? That's another one. They're losing one of the best goalkeepers in the world, aren't they, in Martinez? As much as, again, another one I don't want to see in the Premier League ever again. But
I think he keeps saying he's going, and then he ends up staying. And I'm sure they've put out he's going, say your goodbyes, and then put actually he's staying.
Yeah, but obviously, I mean, they're on about getting Suzuki on, and Suzuki's not going to go and be number 2, I don't think, especially after the World Cup he had. But
it was João Gomez as well, sorry, Ant. It was João Gomez, the one who I couldn't think of from PSG who's injured.
He's from Wolves, isn't he? Wolves signed him from PSG.
Yes.
Yeah. But they have got, I will say, one of the standouts at the World Cup was Johan Mazambi.
Yeah,
what a player, the Swiss lad. And to be fair, we love him already because he turned down Newcastle for Villa. So there you go. I already like him already. And
he's injured already though, so I'm not sure he's going to start the season.
Well, he ended the World Cup injured, didn't he?
Yeah.
But if he can hit the ground running and stuff, because as a young player, it's a lot of money for his age. It's a lot of money for potential, really. But I just think with Villa, I do worry about them, to be honest. I know I put them high up just based on Unai Emery being a brilliant manager. But I think if you're looking at a team to drop out that top 6, you're probably looking at Villa, and then it gives it a chance for your Bournemouth, so Bournemouth can kick on, but it gives a chance for like Chelsea, Villa. And again, like I say, there'll be a surprise. There'll be a surprise that we've probably already mentioned this season who will come out the pack.
They're another team that somehow, despite winning the Europa League, getting into the Champions League, are in a rebuild. Those are cool players that they've lost. They've got coming in, and so then they've got question marks like Garnacho's gone there. That's someone that's going to take a lot of Emery's time to kind of get something happening there. And it's just that spine's a little bit worrying. So it's interesting, Emery. This may prove his legacy. I mean, if he can do it and he can then build a team again, that's the thing we don't see so often in the modern day, is a manager getting the time to almost build that second stage team, is it? But when you look at that compared to some others, again, transfer window, still some time. Villa some questions, but they got Champions League football and an exciting season and confidence off the back of last season. So I guess we'll see. But Heather, would you like to speak about Bournemouth, because you had a rather good season last season, and how are you feeling this season? You've got some European football, you've got a new manager, lots of changes again. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Obviously, it was absolutely gutting losing Andoni. But we kind of knew that he was going because he only ever does like very short stays anywhere. And the fact that we lost our entire back 5 at the beginning of the season, including the goalkeeper, and everybody is like, that's going to get you relegated. Then we lost Semenyo in January, and we still ended up 6th. That is just incredible, considering we've only been up in the Premier League for 3 years. We're all very excited about the European adventure, and we haven't sold any of our main players. The only one that's gone is Senesi, who refused to sign a new contract, so he went on free. But we've kept Alex Scott, we've kept Krupi, and we've kept what's the other one that people are after? Hyan. People have obviously seen our model and thought, oh, you've got these exciting young players. We'll come in after them. And they've offered ridiculous amounts of money. And we've said, no, you're going to have to offer even more ridiculous amounts of money if you do actually want them. I believe Hyan's got a £120 million release clause. Alex Scott looks kind of unhappy. I think he wanted to go, but they've said, no, you've got to stay with your contract. And obviously, we need the squad depth to do anything in Europe. So, and we have strengthened. We've got Silvan as a replacement for Senesi, and we've got Jan. I don't know how to pronounce it. Juan Lu. Yeah. And Alvaro Rodriguez. I'm not even sure what position he plays. So I think he's like a midfielder or something. So yeah, very exciting. I think we'll probably drop down a bit from the 6th, but obviously we haven't been playing 2 matches a week for quite a long time. So
is Alex Scott in any bother, like as in starting the season? Because he got sent off for fighting somebody, didn't he? Last week or the week before?
He had to miss the game. So that was in the pre-season game, and he had to miss the next pre-season game. And I think that's it.
So he's okay. Yeah.
Suspension off. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I knew it used to be like if you got sent off for like a violent conduct or like a really bad tackle, it could get reported to the respective FA, and they had to do something on it. But I think it has changed. So I wasn't sure if that was about it. But are you kind of with the Europe stuff like what I am, just kind of whatever will be, enjoy Europe, see what we can do in Europe, and then the league will look after itself? Because I don't think Bournemouth are going to get tied into anything like relegation wise. I think it's just because I'd be happy with 10th in a Europa League quarterfinal, a nice run in one of the cups. That'll do me this season. Is that you're on the same kind of trajectory as that?
I think we're just all excited for the adventure of it, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's happening with the points?" I know what's happening, how we're going to do the ticketing thing, because obviously I'm on the trust, so I've got the information, but until the club puts it out, I can't say anything about it. So it's quite irritating in a way, but I think most people will be happy with how they're going to do it. So.
There you go, and you've got to say Europe's an interesting one to have as well, because you've got this squad's cost ratio as well, haven't you? Which is maybe something that they're looking at, which is UEFA is a little bit different. But obviously, so far you've been happy to kind of keep the players you've got. And but the sad news, obviously, Krupi's injured, isn't he? Krupi's going to miss a period of the first season. Do you know roughly a timescale of when he might be back?
I think they said 3 months.
Okay,
it's a bit of a blow, isn't it?
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
Yeah, be all right.
I think we have got quite a few people in that position, and we've Clivert was out injured for most of last season, but he's come back now, and he was, one of the top goal scorers in the previous season in that sort of position. So I think we'll be okay.
You'll be fine. Did I see he's been playing Ryan a bit centrally as well, sort of off of Evan Nielsen, which could be interesting little position for him as well.
Yeah, he tried playing Ever as a false 9, is it called, or a 10, and it just didn't work. But I suppose he's got to try these things out.
Try these combinations. So it'll be interesting what we see. Still a lot of attacking talent in that Bournemouth side, and in exciting European campaigns. So interesting draw to come. Go on then, Grimmy. Should we talk about the side you and I may know very well? And are we ready? Are we ready for this roller coaster again? Are you ready, Manchester United?
Talking about Liverpool.
yeah. Talk about Liverpool if you wish.
No, for United, I think it's. I'm happy with what we've done so far. I think it's been a good summer so far. I still think we need 2 more signings at least. I feel like we need a left back. Because I don't think we can rely on Shaw to do 50 games a season. I just don't think that's possible. and we need that sort of defensive midfielder in that we've been linked to with a bunch of names. Obviously, over the summer, we've had Chouameni, we've had Camavinga, we've had Kone from Roma. I think we're still in talks with Roma potentially. I think that's the latest rumor. Would love it if we got him because I think he is going to be a great player. When all is said and done, when his career is done, I think he's going to be class. So I'd like to get him in, but outside of that, I think what we brought in, I'm very happy with. Like Tielemans, obviously goes without saying. I think getting him for 35 million is an absolute steal, really. People have questioned the age thing, but I think for 35 million and his Premier League proven experience and what he's done for Villa and obviously the other teams he's played in the Premier League for, I think he's top notch. And probably someone that Manu can learn a lot from as well. And Andre Santos.
He's going to sign for Man United, like. We can learn a lot from a me and you, son.
He's got some skills I don't have.
Either that or he's a hell of a podcast host.
Yeah, so Andre Santos, moving on to him, I think I questioned it a little bit because I hadn't really seen much of him. But then when I'd spoken to Sean and obviously spoken to a few other Chelsea fans, they were really happy with what he did last season. I think a lot of them pointed to the fact that when Rosinia had his run with Chelsea, he was the mainstay in that midfield in the starting lineup when they were kind of climbing back up the table until it obviously fell apart again. And then they took him out and then it kind of went wrong. So I'm kind of happy with that. And obviously it's a decent fee as well for someone who's got quite a lot of potential by the sounds of things. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with the fact that we've got rid of Bayendier as well because we've got Carl Darlow in who did pretty well in his season at Leeds and he's, been quite around the clubs actually, I think, now that I think about it. He's been here, there and everywhere since he left Newcastle. So yeah, I'm happy with the 3 that we've signed so far, but I think there's still a little bit to do if we're gonna challenge the likes of, the Cities and the Arsenals. I think we need a couple more in. But going back to your original question, I am feeling quite hopeful for this season. Maybe it's false hope, maybe it's stupid hope, I don't know, but I'm feeling hopeful, more so than I was, I think, last season when we were coming into this with Amram.
Yeah, I feel we're more settled going into this season off the back of something positive, Champions League football, etc. All of this, there's more to kind of be on. I like last season's signings. I was a big fan of Cunha coming in. I was a big fan of Mbeumo coming in. Sesko was sort of hopeful for, and I like the fact of them having the second season too. Tielemans, I'm really happy with for that figure. It said Andre Santos for one is one for me interested on. I'm kind of still, as you said, I want to see some stuff, but he's young enough that you can give some time, and the hope is that, I mean, he seemed to be, his stats at Chelsea seem to be quite good in terms of ball retention and kind of getting winning balls back as well. Just somewhere we always struggled in that transition in that midfield because we had Casemiro who had a number of strengths, but going the other way wasn't necessarily kind of that at the end. So you're getting a different profile of midfielder. We're losing a lot with Casemiro going as well. But I just feel that we're moving in the right direction, but I'm worried about the depth a little bit. With what we've got coming, as you said, there's a cut. I'd like to see a couple more. Certainly, as you said, a left back that needs another something in that midfield. I still think there's a number of areas on the pitch I'd still like to be doing more on and to improve on, to kind of where you look at where you need to get up to. And we know how fantastic Carrick did at the second half of the season, but this is now the test. The pressure's different, the expectation's different. The Champions League's coming every week. The games are massive. The expectation is now United fans want to see us kick on and go closer. And to be honest, if I'm looking around, I'm not particularly, in the past I've gone into seasons going, we are way off the Cities, the Liverpools in terms of where they are, but we finished above Liverpool last season. City are in a massive kind of transition. Chelsea are coming, which I think is a concern and going to be a threat, but I think, have we got enough at the minute to kind of be consistent enough with a European run to challenge Arsenal? I don't think we do, but I'm interested to see if we could do a few more bits and in the transfer window to add, because we're clearly going to be looking to use youth a bit more this year. Carrick did last season. He used, I think, 3 times as many youth players as Amram ever did in that run. And there are some, one of them being Kobe Mainoo, of course, which everyone was screaming for him to play. And while he's been at a World Cup of summer, he's sort of back. We've got the Rashford question. No one really knows kind of what's going going on. Looks like he's sort of staying. What kind of Rashford are we kind of getting there? Who knows? A lot could happen in this last couple of weeks with that aspect. So, but I'm feeling more optimistic, I think, than I probably same as you as I was 12 months ago.
Yeah, I think Rashford, it's kind of a wait and see, isn't it? I think I think he's going into a situation where he's going to play for a manager that knows how good he can be, and it's just whether or not he, one, puts the effort in, and two, whether Carrick can get that out of him. If we can get anywhere near the Marcus Rashford we saw a few seasons ago when he was playing under Ten Hag that season, I think we could be. I think our forward line will be pretty dangerous for most teams. I think Rashford is obviously going to be a big part of the puzzle because I think a lot of people were calling for a centre forward to back up Sesko, but I think Rashford's probably going to end up being that person, if not Cunha, and then Rashford's on the left or vice
play
versa.
There as well. Yeah, there's so many options.
I think Rashford's a big part of the puzzle. Obviously, we'll see what happens if it goes well enough and he signs another contract. We'll see. If he ends up just going at the end of the season, which I suspect he will, then obviously, hopefully, he ends it on a high and we have a good season with him. But that's the thing with Marcus Rashford. Up until this point, you don't know which one you're going to get.
You don't. And don't sleep on Patrick Dorgu either, Grimmy. Dorgu coming back for,
Ballon Dorgu?
Ballon Dorgu's a wild card. Everyone forgets about him. Everyone forgets about him. But we'll go to, because we've got two more teams and we want to get through to our predictions. So we don't want to be with you all night, of course. But Shah, Arsenal, Liverpool, anyone particular you'd like to take to close this out?
Just put me on the spot, Sam. Give me one, because I can't decide.
Go on then. You do a good Liverpool, I reckon. I reckon you'll do a good Liverpool.
Oh, I've got quite a thingy take one of my predictions on Arsenal, so we'll get Shaw to Liverpool, then I'll do me Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a strange one with Liverpool because I feel like they have done some fantastic business in getting Iraola. I think that could be the perfect fit for Liverpool. And I feel like with Liverpool, I know obviously with Arne Slot, it didn't necessarily get the time. He had that one season with Jurgen Klopp's team, obviously brought in some players who I thought were very, very good players. Obviously, injuries didn't help the situation last season. And not just that, the thing is, he kind of wanted a certain brand of football, which I don't think the Premier League, they can't really play that style of football. I think obviously Amarim's tried it. Obviously Ten Hag at times tried it as well. And I feel like it just doesn't work. And obviously it didn't work out for them. I feel like Iraola is perfect for Liverpool, if I'm being quite honest. And I think the good thing is with Liverpool, they do give them time, don't they, managers? And they do let them kind of have the transfer windows, let them settle and stuff. And I feel like he will do a good job there. I just think this season, I don't know what to expect from him. I think they have a really good forward lineup. Obviously, Isak, we didn't really get to see Alexander Isak last season with the injury. We've seen what he can do at Newcastle. He can obviously score goals in the Premier League. Ekitike, obviously, we saw a lot of potential and stuff from him. Then he got that really bad injury as well. So it's obviously waiting for him to come back. But I think he'll be a very good signing. And obviously, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we do get to see Ekitike. Because, like I said, I thought last season, watching him, I really did like this player that he was. I think Wirtz as well. Don't get me wrong. I know it was a hefty price tag on him, but I feel like with Florian Wirtz, he has to prove himself this season. And I feel like there was a lot of things, and I know there was a lot of pressure on him because of obviously what we've seen from him in Germany and obviously that massive price tag. But I feel like this season is a season where I'm hoping we can see his full potential, and I feel like he has to prove himself this season because, again, we did see glimpses here and there, but Liverpool weren't that good with it last season. It was Szoboszlai who did a lot last season, and I think he was their star player. What I do have problems with Liverpool is the defence, and even Alisson. I feel like he is a good goalkeeper. I feel like he has been an excellent goalkeeper, but I just think at the moment that defence really does worry me with Liverpool, and I think the style of football that Iraola does play, the defence may not work in that aspect. I don't know. I feel really, really unsure about them, if I'm being quite honest. But I feel like they do have the potential under Areola. They just need to get some more people in, because I don't think they've necessarily brought anyone in, have they, so far? I know they've been linked with Barcola as well.
Yeah, they've got I mean, they brought a new centre back, haven't they? Got Jeremy Jacquet coming in.
He's class, by the way.
Oh, is he?
He is so good. Yeah.
Then
they like him a lot, and I think it might take some time for him to bed in. But I think the idea is that he's going to be there long term. But they've got a lot of injuries at right back as well. So they've got, is it Arujo they brought in from Barcelona on a loan? Because Frimpong's out. I think Connor Bradley's still out. Joe Gomez has been injured again. Like, they've obviously lost Robertson.
Connor Bradley.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That Arujo's a great signing, by the way. Yeah. Getting him on loan, like that's crazy. Like, I can't believe they've managed to do that. They've got Munoz as well, haven't they? The little winger.
Yeah.
He's electric as well. And the one who turned Newcastle down, by the way. We love him as well.
No Salvo, is there? That's the one interesting thing that I'm going to find quite...
That's it.
Yeah. But you've also got second season Engamoa as well. He plays like that. You know,
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
If you look at, if you look at the top six there, there's massive change in all of them, bar Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like I know, like United haven't really lost anyone huge and stuff like that, but it's this thing: can you do it again and stuff like that? You know what I mean? But you look like, for stability-wise, United and Arsenal are probably the two most stable clubs in that top six. And how are we saying that about Man U? We're saying that this time last year about Manchester United being a stable football club. But you look at City's got a huge managerial issue. Villa have lost a lot of players. Liverpool, again, managerial issue, but they've got a lot of injuries and stuff like that. And they've got a Salah, got a Salah to kind of like play without. So it's an interesting one. I think with Liverpool, though, if Isak can stay fit all season, he'll be banging the goals in, won't he? So yeah, it's an interesting one.
It may take them a while to get used to Andoni's style.
Yeah.
But if anybody can sort of get a tune out of that team, it will be him, because look what he did with us.
Exactly.
With the ones that we lost last season and the season before, we only had, at one point, I think it was 12 first team players fit, and we were just playing kids. And we still ended up 12 or something. So I think he'll do well, but it may take them the first half of the season to sort of.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they're all going to be one of those. They'll have a strong second half of the season. Everyone will be like, if only that was the full Liverpool. And going into the back end into next season, everybody will be putting Liverpool up there again.
Do you not think as well, though, it might be a blessing in disguise that Areola coming in doesn't have that baggage of Salah? Because we saw what happened towards the end of last season. Salah had kind of, his legs have gone a little bit, haven't they? He's still a hell of a footballer, but he's not as good as he was 6-7 years ago, is he? Like, he's not up there. And I nearly did the 6-7, I'm so sorry. But he's not as good as he was. And he's not got that baggage where, he's not going to cut Salah. Like, no one's going to come out and say, oh, you buried, you threw us under the bus, I've been buried, I want to leave, and all that stuff. That's not going to happen this year. Yeah. So I think it's probably perfect for him to come in and do his style very quickly and not have anyone like Salah with an ego just going to go, well, no, I don't agree with this. Everyone's going to be. It's his real highway, isn't it, with Areola? So yeah, I think
he wouldn't have part without sulkiness.
Exactly. I think they're one to watch, Liverpool. I'm not going to say they're going to win it, but I think they're one to watch.
I think, with us, everybody, I think with us, we were obviously going to be patient with him because the club very much went after him. And I think they have there because obviously can't remember what his role is. But Richard Hughes is like the scouting person, and he's obviously said, right, let's go and get Areola. But for the first 9 games that he was with us, he didn't win at all. So hopefully they will be patient, whereas I don't think Liverpool fans are as patient as we probably were with him.
Yeah, they're going to want an improvement. They certainly are going to want an improvement out of it. And so I still think they've got some questions to answer, and I still think there's going to take some time to bed in. But there's a lot of quality in that squad, and Iraola, we know, is a quality manager. So, right, one team left to go before we chat on to our predictions. They are the Championes. They are the winners of the community. Splashing that shield around after Sunday. It is Arsenal. I think Anthony did want to speak on. Does anyone else want to speak on Arsenal before I say I know Ant wants a word? Anybody else want to jump in on Arsenal quick? Any takers? No, go on then. It's all yours, Ant.
Well, and I know what's going to happen on Friday night. Now I want to say it, but I think Arsenal have a chance of going through the season unbeaten. I think they've got a chance. I think once Saliba's back, I think they've got the best defence. They've got the best defence in the league. I think they've made some good signings. They've got a refreshed Odegaard, an injury-free Odegaard, who was outstanding in the Community Shield the other day. Is it Zoli that they've signed, the other midfielder?
Zolis, he's
class.
Good in pre-season.
Class. Yeah. Bruno Guimaraes. I'm so glad he's left Newcastle so I can actually say what a good footballer he is, because he's a phenomenal footballer. Absolutely phenomenal footballer. I mean, he bottles big games, which may be an issue. But then having Havertz back as well, and Havertz leading that line, which is what they like to do, I think they've got a great chance. I think they'll win the double in England, not the League Cup, because I'm not too fussed about that one. But I think they'll win the FA Cup, and I think they'll win the league. And I think they're a good shout for the Champions League as well. I think they're just class. I really do. And now that he's got that monkey off his back now, Arteta with winning that league, I think he's going to be hungry for more, isn't he? And
he's going to want trophies, yeah.
Exactly. And we mentioned stability before.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, obviously, they've got massive stability in that club now, because they're backing them, they're putting the money where their mouth is and everything like that. I think it might be a little bit boring at the top of the table this season, because I think they'll win the league very, very comfortably. I just think they're a cracking side. I think he's a cracking manager. I know what's going to happen Friday night. I know they're going to completely currently now.
Honestly, it's going to be over straight away.
I can see it. I've never once thought any other team would do what they did under Wenger and the Invincibles and stuff like that. But I think it's close. I really do think it's close.
I think they're head and shoulders for me, clearly. The best team in the league at the moment, and by the distance. When you look at the transitions that everybody else is, this doesn't mean that somebody can come out of the pack and might challenge them. My only thing to that, probably with Arsenal, in terms of an unbeaten season, in terms of something like that, is I agree with you. I think they'll go deep again in the Champions League. There's some massive games with that. I think they played a lot of games at a very high level, and the one thing now we need to see from Arsenal, it's something City struggle with, and something Liverpool have never done either. The season after you win it. Carrying that through. Now, I think Arteta's got that, and Arteta's obviously trying to install that. You can see that, but you've already, Saliba pulled up in the World Cup, sort of so many games. Rice has had issues already going into this season.
Yeah,
there's a number of big players. Now, I know they have the squad probably more better than others to manage it, but I just think in terms of that might allow a team or two to do different. But I do agree that they are going to be the ones to catch by quite some distance.
I think getting Shapir as well, like on a permanent deal, is a really good bit of business as well, because he filled in really well for Gabriel was out for a little while, wasn't he, last season? And Saliba's going to be out for quite a long time, isn't he? He's got like a really serious back injury, but he fitted in, like you see, just slotted in brilliantly. So I think it's going to be, like I say, it might end up being a boring season at the top because of just how everyone else is playing catch up anyway, but have got like I say, City's got this the managerial thing and you know what happened on Sunday. They got pretty much tossed aside, didn't they? So I think it'll be Arsenal's turn. I think it'll be Arsenal's time again, but I'll let us move on to the predictions, because I think we're going to pee a few people off now, aren't we?
It comes the popular part of the evening. So yes, we do have our predictions. So
remember, everyone, it's only an opinion, right?
An opinion, based on many things that we don't know yet, transfer window start of the season, things that we don't know. Because sometimes when you get to January, the picture looks completely different. Managers are different, players. Anyway, that's kind of the way we're going to do this. Is we've got our bottom 5, 11th to 15th, 6th to 10th, 1st to 5th. We did have somebody who predicted 19 teams. I won't shame them on the pod, but we've dealt with that. We've all got 20 teams in there. They're all there. It's all in. The other guys haven't seen each other's predictions yet, and we do have Rebecca's predictions as well. So there are 6 predictions.
Was that me? I feel like that would be a me thing to do.
So I'm going to start us off as we flick over. So what we're going to do, we're not going to talk about everybody's individual predictions because we'll have to be on for another 5 hours, but we might talk about one or two that are a bit different or somebody that's got something else. So we've got, so it's the first one I think that strikes out to me that everybody's got the bottom 3 as the relegated sides. As we said, there's a chance, of course there is, and we're not writing anybody off, but it's at the moment where we can see it.
Heather hasn't.
Heather. Yeah, that's what I meant. Everybody almost has got it, but Heather, as I was coming to, Heather was like, no, I don't like the look of Nottingham Forest. Heather, Nottingham Forest to go down. Marinakis is going to be fuming. What's the thought process behind Forest down, Heather? Is it you just don't make that squad? Is it? And you think
I think
Coventry or?
I kind of back Coventry without Frank Lampard, but I don't know. I just think they really struggled, and I know they haven't got Europe this year, but I think that the owner is so toxic that even if they just have a few games where they haven't done so well, he'll just sack manager. So
yeah.
Okay. Reckons that's the key of it. So yeah, so Heather has Forest down.
I need to have a word with Rebecca.
Rebecca's got you on the borderline there. Yeah, Rebecca's got Sunderland down. She's a bit worried. Gribby, you've got Ipswich bottom. You're the only one without Hull there. You're just feeling Hull.
I feel like Hull are going to be scrappy and they're just going to make themselves difficult to beat. And I feel like, as much as like Ipswich's business, I do worry about Gary O'Neill. I feel like even though he's got the Premier League experience, Heather's kind of taught me back around to how I originally felt about him before. So yeah, I feel like Ipswich are going to be one of those kind of yo-yo clubs that are going to kind of come up and down and sort of keep building. And I think they've made the right steps to start doing that this summer. But I just think the Premier League is going to just be a bit too much for them, I think. Famous last words.
I almost as well changed my mind. No, say changed my mind. I did change my mind with Coventry because I did originally have them 17th and then changed my mind. So I'm sorry. But like I said before, they've got the best chance out the bottom 3 in that one. But I did have Fulham down there, and that wouldn't shock us if Coventry did stay up.
I was the same. I did have Coventry, but then I couldn't see who I was putting in 18th at this moment in time to justify that. That was kind of where I was sitting. But so me, Ant and Shoal thought we've got Fulham on the teetering, dropping down. Right, should we go to the next batch of teams here? So we've got 11th to 15th here. Sharj, we didn't go on the last page. You've got the first one. The first time I see Brighton on the list. You've got Brighton in 11th. Is that partly, do you think, European campaign?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, I feel like they've lost some players as well. And as we're saying, it could just be like a myth with the European stuff. But I just think a lot of other teams are strengthening as well. They've obviously lost Danny Welbeck, who I think is massive for them because it doesn't just score goals. It's that leadership in there as well. And it's something I really, really like about us. About a squad, if they do have that leader there, and as much as they do have really good recruitment, Brighton, I just feel like it could take the toll on them a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to ask for sure. Even into D's come in as well, just in time for sort of predictions. Forest under Glass are going to cook. I don't think Forest will be that. I think Forest will be better, and that's why I've got them in 13th, because I think Glasner will pull some things together. I think they do need to do a bit more in the transfer market, but no European football, and I think they underachieved for what they should have done last season with a lot of the players that they still have there. I still think there's a connection, something they can get more out of that squad, and if they add to it, then they've still got the Anderson money, and I think they will. If they get a number 9, then I'm really quite confident about Forest in that position. That's the one question mark perhaps I have at the moment. But elsewhere, we've got on there's ones to pick. Grimmy, you think difficult for Everton? Everton down in 14th. They're another one that you're just not sure where they're going to sit.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I just don't feel very inspired by Everton this season. I don't know what it is. I do like the players they've got, like Dewsbury Hall. I'm a big fan of, especially what he did last season. But I just think going forward, they just don't. It's like without Grealish, they didn't really look the same. And I feel like he's going to be a big miss, because it looks like he's going to be staying at City unless something happens later on. But yeah, Everton just don't inspire me, which probably might get me in trouble with Rebecca. But yeah.
Oh, it's all right now, Grimmy. It's all right now.
I'm not worried. So she's got Tottenham in 12th actually as well. I think she's got Tottenham the lowest, and she's got Fulham probably the highest as well.
I want to know what Rebecca's been on when she did this prediction thing. So I want 2. But she's always been like that, Rebecca, to be fair to her. Like, she's always pulled something out of the bag. Like,
this is it. She's always got something there. We've all got Newcastle in sort of questionable positions so far as well. Pretty consistent on some of those. Right, 6th to 10th.
Go on, Shah.
6 to 10. Shah's got a ninth place for Sunderland in there, and 8th for Leeds as well. Really hot on Leeds, Shah.
Yeah. Do you know what, right? I am so impressed with their recruitment this season. Obviously, Harry Wilson, I think, is massive. I'm a massive Harry Wilson fan. Loved him at Fulham. Not only can he add stability, but he adds them goals as well, and that creates creativeness. So that's massive. Obviously, James Trafford as well. I know he didn't get the chance at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, but I feel at a club like Leeds, he could really prove himself as a real solid goalkeeper and push on. So that's another one I'm impressed with. And not just that, I feel like they have some quality anyway. And last season, I thought they were very, very good. Obviously, we've mentioned Calvert-Lewin. If he can stay fit, you've got a very experienced striker there at that level. Tanaka is obviously a really exciting player. And I just feel like with Leeds, they just, from last season, and I think it all depends on Daniel Farke as well. I think if he can obviously do what he did last season, obviously they've got the foundations there. If they can kick on and push for it, I really do think they'll be hard to beat. And like you said, Sam, that game against Manchester United, I know it was only a friendly the other day, but I saw some real glimpses, to be fair, from Leeds. And I think they'll have a really good season. I might have made a stupid move, but I just feel like with the recruitment, it's good.
We said there's always going to be someone sort of pushing up, and we're all quite hot on them in the preview. EFL clubs with us as well. Even to you, agree with Shah on Harry Wilson. Absolute wonderful left foot. Yeah, Leeds should ensure it. It's absolute to pick him up on that for an absolute bargain for them. Grimmy, Liverpool in 7th. You've got Liverpool dropping down. You're not quite so convinced so far in what they're putting together.
No, I just don't see the balance in that squad. I just don't see the forward line gelling straight away. I don't see the midfield. Liverpool have great ball players, but they don't really have a great defensive midfielder. And I feel like that's like us. We need one of those. And defensively, I think they are suspect. I think they've got Araujo now from Barca, who on his day can be a great defender, but he's also liable to a few silly errors as well. And Van Dijk isn't getting any younger. Yes, he's still probably one of the best central defenders, and anyone would be lucky to have him in the squad, but he can't do it all on his own. And yeah, I'm not convinced by the balance of that squad. And I feel like Iraola is going into a bit of a a bad situation. Yes, he's probably getting given this season to kind of rebuild a little bit, but I just don't see the makeup of that squad carrying them as far as it needs to. Especially if something happens to Isak or Isak's not scoring straight away, I feel like Liverpool are going to really struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and it's a shame because I really like Iriola. It's just a shame he went to Liverpool.
Have I still got Slobosly?
Soboslai, yeah.
That's the guy. And Rebecca's twisting the knife in on you. Not only does she have Sunderland down in 17th, she's got Newcastle the highest out of all of us in a 9th place finish as well. You must have.
Yeah, she's definitely been on something.
And so Bournemouth, Heather, you got Bournemouth in 10th, and Ant and I think it'll be 9th. We're more optimistic than you on Bournemouth, but still a top half finish.
Yeah, I don't want to get too
excited.
Yeah.
keep them in a whisper.
Bournemouth 9th, and I think Bournemouth will go very far in the Europa League.
Okay, that'll be another great season. And as we kind of all spoke about, I think all bar Grimmy kind of got Aston Villa dropping down a little bit this season as well. Right.
I also have Forest in 8th, by the way.
You do have Forest in 8th.
Yes.
I thought I was hot on Forest. You're very, very hot on Forest.
I just think I understand what people have said, and I don't disagree necessarily with the points that they made about Forest. But I think that you've got, apart from Anderson leaving, you have a really good nucleus. And I think that when you saw what Pereira could do with them, I think Glasner is a step up in manager. And I feel like if they invest some of that money in Anderson that they've got, get that number 9, like you're saying, Sam, I think Forest could have a really good season. I think they could be back in the top 10 quite easily.
I'm really interested to see what number 9 they get, because Awoniyi's gone as well, isn't he? Which tells me that they're lining up.
Currently, hasn't he?
I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go for something that could be an interesting end of window for Forest. Right, top 5. Top 5. Here we go. Let's have a goosey gander. So,
it's a full house. It's a full house.
Bingo!
But just to remind everybody, last season we had a full house of Liverpools, and that did not happen by a long shot. So you never know. Things might be different. But yes, we have all gone for Arsenal. We've got Manchester City in seconds with a couple of thirds. Ant's gone for third. Grimmy's gone for third. I was after watching Sunday, I was very, very tempted to kind of make a change as well myself.
Same.
In that area, I was thinking, no, not so convinced. But we also have some Chelsea's, I think. Shah's got Chelsea third. I've got Chelsea third. Grimmy's got Chelsea second. Very high on Grimmy, on Chelsea Grimmy. You think the European football sort of thing is going to see them, and we're going to see Alonso ball kicking in?
Yeah, there's a bunch of factors. I think the Alonso thing being the main one, but I also think that there's players that have been poor last season, like Palmer. I think he's coming back in a big way next season. I think him and his best mate Rodgers behind whatever striker they put up there are just going to be having an absolutely sensational season. I also think that, whether Fernandes is there or not, I think Alonso will make that midfield work. I think the experience they brought in Welbeck and Henderson's class. The only thing for Chelsea is the goalkeeper. If they had Martinez leaving Villa, going to Chelsea, if he went to Chelsea, I think Chelsea could give Arsenal a few problems this season, in all honesty, with the team that they've got.
I've seen a few people saying they reckon Penders will be above Sanchez this season. They reckon that switch will happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could well happen. And I think that, he is a decent goalkeeper, no doubts about it. But we won't know if he's that level until he's actually makes the swap. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But I do think Chelsea are a real dark horse this season. And I think that I just like the fact that Cole Palmer's had a full summer off. I think Palmer could be absolutely sensational this year. I really do.
Who have they replaced Cucurella with?
There is a name, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. He's there's a young lad from, is it Atalanta or something?
Signed a few, yeah. It begins with P, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think he's quite a big loss for them.
Palestra, yeah, I think so. I think what they've done is I think they've just stabilized things with Alonso, and I think he's just been allowed to do what he needs to do. And Alonso, generally, unless you're managing Real Madrid, are allowed to do what you want to do. You can build from there. So, yeah, Chelsea second.
Chelsea.
Come back to me when they finish. Come back to me when they finish 7th next season. It's fine.
It's fine. It's only a bit of fun. It's only a bit of fun. And Shah, you fancy Spurs for a bit of 5th place as well? I mean, I think there's arguments, to be honest, between 2nd and 7th. I can understand any arguments for any of them, but you really think that the De Zerbi's the one?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's done some real clever recruitment as well. Obviously, Andy Robertson, I think, real clever bit of business. We've seen what he can do at Liverpool and brings that experience. Obviously, Senesi as well. He's a real good Premier League proven that bit of business as well. I think Tonali is massive for them. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Mateus Fernandes from West Ham. I think that's a real good core foundation for them in that midfield. And I don't necessarily think Spurs have finished with the business, if I'm being quite honest. I know Jed Spencer's gone. They've been linked with the likes of, they've got Cody Gakpo on the list that they've been looking at. They've obviously really interested in Savinho. I think that could be a really good signing for them if they did get it. And I know he's been on the radar for a while for them. But yeah, I just think recently with Spurs, obviously it's been quite a downhill spiral, hasn't it? Under obviously Postecoglou, and then they've had a few bad seasons. But I feel like someone like De Zerbi, and again, I'm going to hold my hands up. When this appointment happened and they were close to the bottom of the Premier League last season, I was a little bit unsure how it'd go with De Zerbi because we've obviously seen him in the Premier League at Brighton. But I personally think with Brighton, they're that good of a structure and that good of a really well-run football club. I think anybody could come in at Brighton and do a job there. So I wasn't really too sure how he would cope at Spurs, especially in a, I don't want to say it, but it was like near a relegation battle, to be fair, at one stage, wasn't it? They were really close to dropping. Yeah. So I was a little bit unsure of what he would do, but I feel like he did do a fairly reasonable job. And I feel like now signing some of them players are real statements to the Premier League. And I do feel like we're missing a striker, if I'm being quite honest. I feel like we do need that striker, because I don't necessarily think they've had it since Harry Kane left, if I'm being honest. They've had Richarlison chipping in here and there, but he's not consistent. They've obviously got injuries to Kulusevski. We've got James Maddison back, who I think is going to be huge as well, because last season with James Maddison and the injury that he had, and I feel like that was a real big loss for them. And I think if he can stay fit, it'll be like having a new signing there with James Maddison, because I feel like on his day, he can be really, really dangerous, and he can obviously chip in with goals, and not just that, creating goals too. So I really do think Spurs, and I don't want to keep saying it as well, but similar to Chelsea, they have got a season now where they can concentrate, apart from the cup runs. If they do get a cup run, I feel like they can concentrate on the league. We don't have any other football there apart from concentrating on the Premier League and what they can do. So, yeah, I've got a real good feeling about Spurs this season.
Yeah, I think it's. I think Thines is definitely pointing towards positivity, and if they start a decent run, and as you said, Europe football and all the rest of it, things go their way. And that may help them as well, because Tottenham have always been a team that struggled with injuries. They struggle with injuries, so maybe a short amount of games, etc., is gonna help them manage that situation a little bit better as well. But there we are. We've had some predictions. We've had a good load of fun. We've welcomed the Premier League show back ahead of the new season, of course, this weekend. All starts off with Arsenal Coventry on Friday, and then all the fixtures over the weekend, all the way through to the Monday. So we will be back next Tuesday to talk about all of those and have a look and go, oh no, that prediction looks a bit dodgy. They look awful, but it's only week one. It's only early days. Who knows what's going to happen? But thank you to my wonderful panel. We'll do the outro of them in a minute. But the Absolute Football Podcast, of course, we are back in a big way this season. We've got many shows going on at the moment. So we've started the non-league shows back 2 game weeks already, Shah. You're almost halfway through the season. Monday is flying already.
I know. There's been games tonight as well.
It's all kicking off. So Monday, if you're not aware what we do, on a Monday we're live with our non-league show, which is hosted by Shah and NL Full Time as well, the wonderful team that we have on a Monday covering everything National League North and National League South. Tuesday is Premier League Day, so we go through all the Premier League results from the weekend, all the big news, all the big stories. We'll be back with that next Tuesday. Wednesday, they're on a little bit of a hiatus. They did do the WSL season review last week, but won't be long before Freya and Team Chaos are back ready for the new season of women's football. Of course, that starts a little bit later, but I'm sure they'll be back in a week or two with transfers and all the updates in terms of what's been happening there. And on Thursday, Char's back with the EFL show, which of course is the opening.
Do I have to?
The opening round is done. Sadly,
I think I'm getting a temperature.
Not the greatest stuff, but it's only week one.
Exactly.
But it will be covered on Thursday. Championship, League One and League Two in all its glories. We do have live watch-alongs. We had one last week for the opening championship game, and we've got one on Friday. We will be doing Arsenal versus Coventry, so join us live for that. That will be a very interesting game kicking off the Premier League. We've got football and fan interviews on the channel as well. Plenty of those coming up, some recorded, some coming through. And a new series debuts tomorrow, Shah. The Player Spotlight. In the Spotlight, we've called it, where Shah and I recorded some on Sunday, and the first one is coming out tomorrow. So do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what In the Spotlight's all about, Shah?
Yeah, so it's an idea that I've had, and I've been thinking about it for a while, because I don't know, you've all probably got them at your own clubs where you have them players, but they don't necessarily get the plaudits week in, week out, but the real good talents. And I feel like there's so many we can showcase across all of the football pyramid, whether it be Premier League, academy players, whether it be women's players, whether it be from the EFL, from non-league. There's just so many quality players out there that not necessarily everybody knows about. So I've done 4 so far, which are chosen, and Sam kindly came on, hosted it with me, and got involved in the chat too. And they all have their own story. So I've started with Casey Petit, and he goes out tomorrow, that episode, and basically he is injured. He's one of my favourite players for Rochdale. He picked up an MCL injury, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But it's me telling everybody what I think he could bring to the Rochdale squad once he's back from injury, what his qualities are, and why I think he should be in that starting 11 for Ian Watson. And I've obviously done it across a few of the leagues, and mostly based on non-league at the moment, apart from Casey. But yeah, it's just a real fun series where you can just talk about one player and their journey for 15-20 minutes, and a lot of people have a bit of an insight towards them and kind of get to know that player a little bit.
Can indeed. So check the first one of them out tomorrow on Wednesday at 7:00. And this week we'll also have another special episode as well, because the wonderful Ant and I will be discussing everything Sunderland. That will be out Thursday lunchtime, I think. You can watch that with a sandwich and whatever.
A meal deal.
A cheeky meal deal, watching a bit of Sunderland. How could life be better? And plenty more coming on the channel besides. But thank you very much to everybody for joining us. Thanks to our wonderful panel as well tonight for joining and reconvening for another season. We'll go round the panel in terms of, if you don't know them, where you can find them, socials, etc. Shah, where can everybody find you?
Yes, I am SharXRFC. That is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Because I'm doing so much on this channel now and putting all my dedication into the Absolute Football podcast, I might be a little bit quiet on my own channel, but do not worry. I'm on like 47 shows a week on this channel. So if you want to find me, more often than not, I'm here.
That's the place to do it. That's it. With many shows, many recordings going on. Of course, the wonderful Grimmy is back. He's done some wonderful features already, some football features, doing some hosting as well. We've got more of them to come as well. So, Grimmy, where can everybody find you and your wonderful work?
Similar to Shaw, really. All the effort's going into this at the minute. So, yeah, probably keep your eye out for some videos. I'll probably record some stuff over the next few weeks, and I'll be here next Tuesday, and then maybe, just maybe, I might pop up on the EFL podcast as well, once or twice.
You better do now. You promised.
So well,
I've got receipts now, Grimmy. I've got receipts.
Okay, I'll be on, don't worry.
You have been told. And of course, Ant, where can everybody find your wonderful self?
Probably just here. I'm at ant_Waters on Twitter and on Blue Sky. If you want to follow us, do that. But apart from that, yeah, probably just on here.
Perfect.
Also on the Football League show on Thursday.
No, did you not see the evils I've just given you? I was like, have you got something to tell me, Ant?
I'll be there.
You better have me.
I'll help
You're on a Thursday. You're on a Thursday.
Yeah, I'll help you through it. Don't worry.
And lovely to have Heather back as well. Thank you for coming on as well, Heather. Where can everybody find yourself?
I'm at Heathhog73 on pretty much every platform. Too much social media, but you can follow me if you wish to.
There you go. And I am at Sam Absolute FBL, and same as Sean Grimmy. Everything I'm doing at the minute is Absolute Football Podcast. So my channels and that are just a distant memory at the moment because there's so much that we want to do and we're looking forward to doing for this season. So do check us out. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the opening weekend of the Premier League season, and we'll catch you next week to talk all about it. Have a good one. Ciao for now.